And now launching on February 23rd, we have Ryozen, and this plays 2 to 4 players. It takes about 45 to 90 minutes to play. And this one looks like a really interesting Euro game that's bringing some new ideas and concepts to the table. The game plays over 3 rounds, and the first phase in each round is the daytime phase. And during this phase, players are going to be allocating their workers to different locations out on the different regions of the board. And the different regions will grant some different benefits, and there is only a limited spaces that players can occupy. During this phase, event cards will also get drawn, which will affect all players, but those don't come into play until later in the round, so players can prepare for them. And depending on which region players place their workers, they can perform different actions, and some of those actions can be things like discarding one of those event cards, gathering resources, upgrading one of your workers to a new worker, gaining an upper hand in ties for dominance in a region, or building and visiting villages for different benefits. A really neat aspect of the way that the worker placement works in this game is that each worker also has a special ability, and if you put that worker face up when you allocate it out on the board, you'll be able to also use that special ability, or you can put it face down on the board instead, and you won't be able to use that special ability, but instead they'll be worth twice as much influence when it comes to determining who has the most influence in a region. And the way that the center tower works is that as it rotates, it's going to be pointing to a few different regions at the same time, and players can also put their workers out on top of that tower, and they won't be able to use the worker's special ability, and they can choose to either gain a resource of their choice, or they can instead pay a resource and activate one of the abilities from one of the surrounding regions that the tower is pointing at. And then after all workers are placed, we move into the nighttime phase, and this is where players can perform the nighttime action of that region, but then the player with the most influence in that region is also going to gain a Moonshard token. And the way that the Moonshard tokens are used is that you're going to be set collecting different Moonshards throughout the game, and different sets are going to earn you different victory points at the end of the game. This works a little bit differently in the central tower because the player who has the most influence there is going to gain the first player token. At the end of that phase, you're going to rotate the tower and move on to the dawn phase. And the dawn phase is pretty much your cleanup phase. We're going to return the workers back to their respective players, and then you're going to start the next round. At the end of 3 rounds, the player with the most victory points wins the game. And a lot of early birds this week because this one will also be offering an early bird miniature. So if you're interested in that, definitely go ahead and subscribe on their website, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below.